Bresnahan joining us soon. I got Mike Trudell and Allie Clifton taking care of the post-game locker room sound, which we will get to you as soon as we get it. Lakers unable to take advantage of the momentum after that big win on Saturday against Brooklyn. Unable to take advantage of going plus 21 in threes made. Rob and James, the reason? Too sloppy with the basketball. 25 turnovers. That's a season high for 29 points.
It was so many turnovers, and they were unnecessary turnovers because they were trying to do the fancy thing by throwing lobs. And when you get into that lob mode, it's almost like it's contagious, where one guy throws it, the next guy throws it. And I was also shocked when AC Fresh threw the one to THT, and he caught it and slammed it back. And I was like, oh, here comes another turnover. But that one didn't happen. So you have to, in these games, when you don't have LeBron and AD who can be your saviors, you got to make sure you handle the rock. I guess they was a little too happy off that great win against Brooklyn, and they just thought they could do anything against a lesser team in New York, but it wasn't true.
Yeah, they played against Brooklyn, a team that's not that great defensively, and then they go into the Madison Square Garden, and they play against the New York Knicks, who are one of the better teams defensively, especially guarding the three, and they don't give up a lot of two-pointers in the paint. So the defense, in addition to the Lakers' sloppy decision-making, didn't allow them to get momentum ever in the game. And, of course, Julius Randle had a great game.
Key word for me there is decision-making. A lot of those passes, like you said, Rob, sloppy. You just saw that one go off the top of the backboard. You had some going in the stands. Just careless basketball. The second chance points as well. 15 offensive rebounds for the Knicks for 20 points. And yes, James, you got to give that Knicks defense credit. They're the #1 scoring defense in the league. They had 14 steals. They had 9 blocks. They did a nice job taking away the pick and roll, packing in that defense. But sloppy basketball's really been, when you look at the box score after the game, after Laker losses over these last few weeks, you see it's because of the turnovers almost every single time. James, look at this right here, and Rob. 3 out of the last 4 games, the Lakers are plus 20 in turnovers in those 4 games. 22 against Miami, 22 against Toronto, 15 against the Nets, you win by 25, and then tonight, 25. So remember, against the Heat, 22 turnovers for a season-high 33 points. Tonight, 25 turnovers for the second most, 29 points. Rob, it's too hard to win in this league.
It's too hard to win anywhere, not just this league, anywhere in basketball when you're turning the ball over, because that's free buckets for the other team. That is a momentum killer. And, I look at this, who suffered from these turnovers? It's Montrezl Harrell. He had a goose egg tonight.
Yeah.
And all these were passes to him that resulted in turnovers. When you got that, it can be frustrating for a player, and they can take him out of the game. But you cannot turn the basketball over in a game just like this with the Knicks. The Knicks are one of the best defensive teams in the game, so you got to be even more precise with your passing. You got to be more precise with your ball handling. But they just took it too lackluster and act like they was just playing in Rucker Park.
I need someone to get me a stat. If a team stays 4 nights in New York, on that 4th night, are they over 20 turnovers 90% of the time? Big game, James?
I would say that's about 100%, Peter. But you're right. Precise is the key word. They were just marginal passes. And you might be able to get away with making a turnover here and there with LeBron and AD. But without LeBron, who is a big part of their playmaking and gets a lot of people involved, you can't turn it over. And, some of those passes, like Rob said, to Montrezl, I don't think he received one good pass today. It was way over here, way down there, too late, too early. And he's too vital in the pick and roll not to be able to find him and get it to him on time and on target.
I have a question for you guys. That highlight you saw right there was all those second chance points, the offensive rebounds. How deflating is it for a team or a defense when you're turning the ball over, but defensively you're working hard, you get a stop, but the other team gets a rebound and it lands the points?
Well, it's always, when you talk about the Lakers, we always talk about how good their defense are. And defense doesn't come with just being in front of a guy. It comes with rebounding,
It's not just stops.
It's not just stop. Rebounding is the stop. And so you have to grab the ball, you have to rebound it, and that leads to the fast breaks because you think about how many times they get the rebound and they do the long pass. They had none of that tonight. I know LeBron is a guy that usually does that, but other guys participate in that also. So when you're not rebounding the ball efficient, that means the other guy getting more shots than you. So you're going to have a problem, especially with a team that's gritty and grimy as New York when it comes to playing defense.
It is the most demoralizing aspect of basketball when you put on a 24-second, display of really good defense and the whole team is connecting. That shot goes up. And then you don't get that basketball. It deflates you. And now you got to turn that 24-second clock of defense right back on without getting a chance, as Rob said, to get that sugar. You play good defense. You want to go down and get a fast break, try to get something out of it. So it deflates you mentally. You're looking around to see who didn't box out. And before you know it, the other team has, as we saw tonight, tip ins, extra points, and it's difficult to play defense that way.
I want to give big props to Julius Randle, former Laker, probably in his 7th year or so, and you see this a lot with young, great basketball players. We saw it in year 4 here. His last year with the Lakers, he really started to pop. You see that big jump in guys usually year 3 to 4, and then he's in New Orleans, and then the first year in New York didn't go as well, but this year, listen, he's an all-star, and he deserves it. And he's playing like it. And tonight, Rob, 34 points on the efficient 13 for 22, 10 rebounds, 2 of 6 from 3, good from the free throw line. Julius Randle, big reason why the Knicks win in tonight.
He has made this team his team. And when you go in New York, you think about Barrett, you think about all these other guys. But for some reason, Randle has made his stake. I think when you look at Thibodeau, Randle is this type of guy, high-energy guy who can play defense, a guy who will knock you on your butt. So Randle is that guy that's been in his role, and he's just playing free and having a good time. We saw the skill set he had when he was with the Lakers, but he had too many guys taken away from his skill set. Now he's in New York. He can show all of his skill set.
We also saw him handle the basketball when he was in L.A. that 3rd and 4th year, how good he was on the break. But Big Game James, I'm sure you're proud in a lot of ways because you did work with him a lot. A lot of his points back then, he had that quick first step. They were in the paint, getting offensive boards. He would bully guys. But now you see the maturation in his all-around game, the handles, the step back, the mid-range, the three-pointer. He's got it all right now.
Yeah. Julius came to the Lakers with a 5-gear stick shift. But he only used 5th gear. That's all he used, 5th gear. It was wide open. Once he slowed down a little bit and started to wait till he got in the threat areas and then use his speed and understand footwork, it's nice to see a player, because a lot of players miss it. A lot of players go through the league, they're talented, but they miss that moment when they need to, learn the science and the theory of the game. You see him slowing down. I had no idea he would ever become the shooter that he's become. That's going to open up so much more his game as he continues to develop. But I love his process, all-star.
You know the guys in this league that go into the lab every offseason, and it is not an overnight thing. I think that's what's so hard for so many people to understand. This takes years. There's a progression, Rob, and you can see the hard work paying off, so you got to give him a lot of props.
Yeah, you got to give him a lot of props. The hard work is working out, and you also understand, who he's playing with. He has the coach that has put him in the right position to be successful. He has the teammates that work well with him. You look at that team, it's like everybody's pretty much the same, but they all have designated things that they do. And Julius Randle is that one guy that does it all. So he's kind of free to do what he does, and it's so great to see him pulling up with that J. It's so good to see him finally going right. It's so good to see him just, being confident in his game. And that's what it all boils down to, having the confidence in yourself. And once you have that, the coaches are going to have the confidence, and then it shows on the court.
I'm also proud, Brez. I bought that beachfront property on Randall Island years ago. I kept it. It's worth millions now. Big Game James. All right, let's get you to the highlights. Lakers in New York taking on the Knicks. Laker ball out of bounds. Kyle Kuzma to Markieff Morris. Back to Kuz. Lakers scratch first. Speaking of Julius.